Good morning, beautiful people on a Friday morning. Lovely, 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 lovely. So Simpiwe is wearing bright orange to make sure that nobody falls asleep during the show. That's her job this morning.
Yes.
And she is doing it with both hands. So we got a lot to get into today, and it is Friday, so you have made it to another weekend. In fact, it's the last weekend in November. Yeah.
Oh, December is loading. I can feel it. It's around the corner.
Yeah, what? Next weekend? Yes, the 2nd and 3rd. Yeah, boy.
Yeah. I've already gotten invites for like World Cup themed game nights, so it's a good way to start December. I'm loving it.
All right, is that the weekend plan? Is
Yes.
that on the schedule? Okay.
Yes,
Shame. I felt so bad for Ryan yesterday because he came into the office and he had this big chart and he's been filling in like who's winning what match and the scores and everything else, like I used to do just a few years ago when I gave a shit. I felt sorry for him. Like not in some patronizing shit where I was like, oh God, I used to be there. I remember doing that. And he's like, look, I brought this chart, and he lays it out on the table, and he's so proud. And he's like, look, they've put in the scores of all the different teams. Maybe we should do like an office pool where, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, we did this 8 years ago.
Gareth, I will say that as someone who doesn't watch soccer at all, I'm in it now. Now I'm in it.
Oh, really?
We've connected the TV here in the office, so we'll watch like a bit of the 3 o'clock game. And it's actually quite interesting. It does feel like this might be the World Cup of the underdog, because the strong teams are not winning as easily as they should be. But we'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying it. Yesterday's game, I watched it. Was it Portugal and Ghana? Second half was where it's at. Ronaldo scored. 8 minutes later, Ghana scores. 5 minutes later, Portugal scores again. Like, it was, what? Okay. Yeah, that was a good game.
Yeah, I've got to get into it. I haven't yet, and I'd be lying if I told you I'd watched a single second of a single match. So, hey, can I talk about Black Friday and get that out of the way?
Oh, yes.
So, first of all, Simpiwe says to me that there's a storm that's hitting the East Rand quite hard this morning. So that's going to upset all those bargain hunters who are going to be queuing up outside various massive stores to get Black Friday specials. And they deserve it, because if you go to a big store on Black Friday and you queue with everyone else and you are, I don't know, going for your 5th TV or something, you really do deserve to have the rain come down on you. Sorry. A friend of mine who I can't be friends with this person anymore because they sent me a voice note last night saying, I've just got to go and get an air fryer. And it's going to happen. I said the dreaded word, air fryer. There we go. Like and subscribe, everybody. Like and subscribe. I got to go and get an air fryer. My girlfriend and I, we saw that they're on special, but apparently the shop opens up at 12 on Thursday. So we're rather going to go then than go on Friday and have like he's somehow better than the people who queue on a Friday because he's going to go on the Thursday, And have you noticed Black Friday has turned into the whole week?
Yes, which is,
yeah.
And they also moved the weekend, because I noticed before it used to be like the weekend before payday. That's the weekend of payday. So when people actually have money, it's going to be a hummus. My sister she loves Black Friday deals. I can't stomach it. I'm just like, why would I want to walk into a store and there's 50,000 people, or they're just savages, like I can't do it. And she's like, girl, I already know what I want. I'm going to go to this store, this store, this store. I know what time to go. Like, I have a budget. No, count me out. Sorry, can't do it.
Although I just suddenly realized something yesterday. How is it that these things are so expensive? I have a printer at home. Printer cartridges. Sweet Jesus. They're like 500 or 600 Rand each. Yes. And it's not, I don't have some fancy printer like the one we've got in the office it's a laser printer. It's this high. It can print like 500 copies of something in perfect color, blah, blah, blah. This is a scam. These. Oh, there's the rain. The rain's just hit me too, Simpiwe. No, seriously, I looked at this thing because yesterday my printer had this thing flashing. It's like, you need to replace the cartridges. I'm like, I'm pretty sure I just replaced them the other day. Anyway, so I look online, 575 or something rand a cartridge. I'm like, all right, I'll tell you what, that's what I would do for Black Friday is go online and buy those printer cartridges. I mean, I've got to get them, right? Because otherwise,
Yes.
what's the point in having the stupid thing?
Yeah. So I am an advocate for Cyber Monday. Like, I think I would rather waste my time online trying to get the best deals for something to
Mhm.
be delivered. Like, that sign me up because then I'm not dealing with other people and other kids who just,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, we all listen. Who doesn't like a bargain? I don't believe anyone who comes along and says, "Oh no, I don't. I'm not really interested in saving just £5." Every human being, there's a part of
Mhm.
all of us that's very schnorrer that likes to find a little,
Oh, yes.
discount here. Yeah, we all do. So I don't buy these people who are like, "I'm too good for Black Friday," but I do hate the thing. And I won't go and stand. I'm not going near the shops today. There's not a chance.
Miss me.
It's
But I
too
will
horrible.
say it's only a bargain if you've done like research. So if like your friend who's been wanting to buy an air fryer, they know the original cost. So they know if they're
Mm,
getting a good bargain or not.
yeah.
Some people are just like they see 50% off, but it was only 5 million. It it was you're still spending the same amount of money that you would have spent had you bought it on Monday. Just because they know how
Yeah.
to market things. So do your research as well, kids. Do your research.
Yes, exactly. I think it was Leanne and Mash on Monday who said, "No, online Black Friday is the way to go." What do they call that? Cyber Monday. That's
Cyber
goes into
Monday.
yeah. So maybe that's the thing to do. Maybe I'll buy those ink cartridges then. Ugh, it burns me that like it'll come to 2,000 something rand for those 4 little cartridges, 4 tiny little
That's so
things.
much money. That's so
It's
much.
huge, right? No, that burns me. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm cheap about this, but fucking hell, for 4 printer cartridges.
Mm.
George Mienie, he says there's some Black Friday specials on
Ooh.
Auto Trader. 882 Black Friday cars online. What does that mean? Super, super cheap cars, George? Is that what it
Ooh.
means?
Mm. I like that. See, now
Mm.
that so if you're looking for a car, you know you're gonna get a good bargain. I'm just saying. Guys, just do your research. Eh.
Beth says inkjet printers are the way to go. Ink is much cheaper. Well, this is an inkjet printer, Beth. And no, it's not cheaper. It's busy going now. Listen, I promise you, just switched on and started making these noises. It's probably because I said printer. It's also listening to me like everything else in my office. Oh my god, fucking terrifying. Superior, if the machines come and kill me one day, you know.
I
This
can't save you, Gareth.
I was just talking now about the thing and goes and it starts moving around. I'm like, oh
It's
no,
probably
no,
saying,
no.
buy the ink, feed me, buy the ink.
What is it doing with that ink? I'm not printing reams and reams of paper here. What is it doing with that ink when I'm not looking?
Wait, okay, cool. How long has the ink lost you?
I don't know, but it felt like a long, and it felt like a very short time. It feels like just the other day I bought those new cartridges. Hmm.
Mm.
All right, well, we'll see. Yonder wants to know, George, are there any Teslas in that 882 cars? I'm looking for the S-Plaid. No, I don't know about that. My sentiment, he says, is that if you are in the market and need the item, then hold out to Black Friday. But in many instances, it forces us to spend. Well, that's a stupid
Mhm.
thing. I mean, that's exactly right.
Mm.
Apparently, here's an interesting thing from JP. He says there is a browser extension called Scrapy, which allows you to look at the history of the price of a specific product. You'll know if it's actually a good deal. SCRAPY.
Okay.
Wow.
I
Okay.
like
Very
that, thank
good.
you.
That's
I'm
cool.
gonna
We'll
use
take
that
that.
all the time.
The software embedded in the cartridge drives me mad. Plotter cartridges, 3K each. Oh, Jesus, Steve. 3K
3,000.
each for just one, says Steve, in one of his cartridges. Okay, then I've got a cheapie by
Oh,
comparison. My God. Please
3,000
discuss.
rand.
Okay. Here's Vin Nordia says, please discuss the madness that's going on with the treatment of dogs that resemble pit bulls. The cruelty and violence being perpetrated against all dogs is totally over the top. What has happened to so-called educated people? These attacks are horrendous, but unfortunately, I don't believe these dogs are attacking children without provocation. Were you there to witness what truly happened? It's Friday. Vin, I don't want to go into this. I'm a massive fan of dogs. I have my own dog. I do not like pit bulls, but I don't believe that pit bulls are evil, horrible animals that all need to be put down. At the same time, I really don't think that it's a good idea to have them around children. Every attack, with one or two exceptions, has been found to be a pit bull. I just think that that's too much of a risk to take. There are lots of lovely, lovely dogs that aren't going to tear your child's face off. And I'm not suggesting we should have all pit bulls put down or that anyone should be cruel to pit bulls, just like pit bulls shouldn't be cruel to children. I just don't like the idea of these dogs who are trained, who have been bred for the purposes of fighting. Even if they live in your house as a family pet, you know that they're on a hair trigger because that's how they've been bred. That is in their DNA. It just seems to me to be a dangerous idea to mix up these dogs and, someone leaves their gate open and this dog runs out and mauls someone in the street. It's happened. It happens all the time. All the dog attacks, with the except a very rare exception of a few Rottweilers and some other dogs which also don't have the best reputation, but nothing gets close to the reputation that pit bulls have earned themselves by being the dogs that attack the most. And I do not like the idea of anyone victimizing any kind of animal for superstitious reasons or for scientific reasons or for reasons of just fear. I don't like any of that, but I really do think that the pit bulls have a long way to go, and pit bull owners have a long way to go to prove themselves. When they say, oh, no, that's not the dog, it's the owner. Sure, that's always true, but it doesn't help the case when you look at the statistics from all over the world. And in the US in particular, they've got a very good set of statistics that shows incontrovertible evidence that these dogs are responsible for the majority of attacks. And that's not going to go away, no matter how many good owners with great pit bulls tell us they're not bad dogs. You understand? So there we are. Friday morning. I don't want to go into this anymore, but that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I think we've talked about this before. A lot more people are talking about printer ink. Cheryl says, take some cake colorant and add it, lol.
No,
a whole new printer.
no. No, that does not sound, that's not good advice, Gareth. Even me, I know it's not good.
Look, I know you can get these Fong Kong ones at, other little shops, but then you put those in. First of all, I don't think it prints as well. And second of all, your printer can actually get damaged. So I'm careful. I'm buying the right ones, but I just don't understand how they're so expensive, Get a laser printer, says Kirtan. No, I can't do that. That's even more expensive. And I don't print that much at home. Yeah, exactly.
Get a laser printer.
Get a laser
These
printer.
things are 2 million, guys.
Yes.
Just.
Gee, did you get your money from SARS? Hell no. I'm still waiting for that. And I believe me, when I do, drinks on me. Gareth is an ink cartridge half empty kind of guy. Oh, right. Okay, thanks. That's pretty much, that summarizes my attitude this morning. I've seen a child's face being ripped off, says Cheryl, from a Labrador. So it goes on the owner and how they've been raised. Child had 5 plastic surgeries. That's just absolutely fucking awful. I mean, imagine that. Imagine your kid. You see, you hear these stories about obviously children that tease animals and blah, blah, blah. And then, whatever happens. But if some little kid goes to a children's birthday party at the next door house and one of these dogs jumps over the wall, which happens, and it comes in there and it mauls one of these children. Yes, as if I were a parent and that happened to my kid, I would shoot the owner and the dog there and then for doing that to my child. And I know that sounds unreasonable and erratic and violent, and I think I would be out of control angry forever. And I'd probably be in some way justified. And that's not just about a dog and an owner. I'm sorry, you can't keep a fucking Sumatran tiger as a pet.
Mm.
You're not Mike Tyson. And if Mike Tyson's tiger does rip off someone's face, then Mike Tyson could be sued for like millions of dollars. I just don't think that there are certain animals that make for very good pets. And I wonder about here's something that you're not going to like, since now we're going down this bloody hole. I didn't want to talk about this, but why is it that certain kinds of people want to have pit bulls? And this is generalization, I know. And you can accuse me of whatever you like after this, but there's a certain sort of personality of person who wants a pit bull as a pet. I'm not going to say there's a look, but there's an attitude of a certain type of person who goes, yeah, I have all these dogs. I'm not going to take that cute, fluffy one. I'm not going to take that that little dog that can be put in my wife's handbag. I'm not going to take that companion dog with the smiley face and the waggy tail. I'm going to take that pit bull. That's what I want. I want a frightening. I want a breed that's got a reputation. So just think about that. Maybe I've got a point. Maybe I don't.
Well, I will say this. Someone said this in passing that, like, I'm so glad I'm South African because when a dog attacks me, I can say "futek." I don't know what other countries say at all.
Yeah, it's the best word. And most dogs, if you say "futzak," will futzak, right?
Mhm.
But
It's just universal.
I don't walk around the neighborhood, but on the rare occasions when I do, and there are those dogs that go "Row, row, 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 row," at the gate, and I'm always like, yes, that's. I mean, I understand, like, people have watchdogs, and some people have pet dogs. My dog would be a useless watchdog. It would run up and lick everybody who came. But I don't like the idea that we live in a country that's so unsafe, first of all, that you have to worry about that shit. You have to have a vicious animal to defend you. I mean, I've always liked the idea of people who have like two sets of fences, and in between they've got crocodiles. I've always liked that idea. Yeah. You've got a sign saying danger, gevaar, cause. But that you must have a dog that's just angry the whole time, because this is an angry dog. And I see people walk past, like the domestic worker walks past from the house 3 houses down, and I'm like, she's not going in there to steal your stuff, and that dog mustn't be so rude. Know what I mean?
I know what you mean, Gareth.
It's so ugly. I don't want to talk about this anymore this morning. I really don't. Gareth, yes, they are a certain type, like the ones to clip dogs' ears. Yeah. I agree with you, Gareth. There are some people I know that have pit bulls. They are not a full box of chocolates upstairs. You're spot on. Again, it always has to be said because people are stupid. So if you were the person who was about to get upset and what I'm going to say to you now matters, then you're stupid. We are not talking about everybody. There are probably lovely, lovely people. In fact, I'm sure I know some lovely people who have pit bulls. I'm sure I do. And I'm sure that they're terrific owners, and the dogs are well behaved, and they are friendly, and they're not vicious, and they're not aggressive, and they've been raised with lots of love and all of that stuff. And you're an exception to a rule. Or maybe you're not an exception to a rule, but the rule in terms of dog attacks seems to be pit bulls. So anyway, my grumble of pugs are the worst guard dogs. But lo and behold, a squirrel enters our property and Armageddon. Well, yeah. My little Alice, who's now 10 months old, decided yesterday, because she's still small, she can get through the fence in the front, and she decided this other dog walked past, this big dog, and she decided she was going to go down there and tell him something. Right? She's only this big. So she runs down, she squeezes herself. I'm standing there watching this because I can hear her barking. So I go and look, and she runs down and she chases this. And then the big dog decides, who the hell is this? Turns around and chases her. And she squeals. She like, arr, arr, arr. She comes running back with her tail between her legs. I'm like, yes, that is why you don't go after the big dogs.
What do you think you are? What were you doing? Hey, where were you going? That's how, like, I know a lot of African parents, when you tell them, something happened to me, or I'm bullied. They're like, who do you what were you doing there? Why did you go there? Yes, they must hit you. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I had the most amazing meeting yesterday with Eugene Koza. We're working on something very, very cool, which I'll be telling you about in the new year. Oh, I'm so excited. Sometimes you get into a room and other people's energy just fills a massive gap that you've been looking to do something with for a long time. And sitting there with him and his team yesterday had such an interesting conversation about something we'll be doing next year. I will keep you informed, but we are taking things in a very exciting direction. So stick around for next year. I've got exciting things to tell you in January and February. All right. Couple of things that are in the news and some things that Simpiwe wants to talk about. And by the way, good luck for Black Friday if you're one of those people who's going to brave the crowds. And remember, some people don't have an option. They've got office hours today. You start work. You don't have time before work. You don't have time. Maybe you're going to have to line up Saturday morning because that's the only day you've got off. And if that's it and you need that bargain TV, good luck. Power to you. I'm really, really hoping that you don't have to deal with too many other people. It confounds me when you see those videos, people pushing the front of the shop down and going in for those bargains. And you're like, I think if you destroy property, they're not going to give you the special. I'm pretty sure about
I love
that.
my life.
Yeah.
I love my life. I don't trust other people out there. No.
Take Simpiwe's advice and it seriously. All right. So Simpiwe says, did you know that some people suffer something called cyberphobia, which is the fear of eating food?
Yep.
Well, that's not a problem you and I have, Simpiwe. I wish I did sometimes. I was looking in the mirror. When was it? Sometime this week. I woke up and I was like, oh God, I got to get back to work because I haven't had a chance this week. It's been an insanely busy week to go to gym or anything. And I've been eating like erratically. And I suddenly thought I was on such a good track. And then this week I let myself down. So now I've got to start again now, today. I mean, what day is better than today? But I somehow wish I had this phobia of eating.
No, wow, no. When I found out about this, I was like, what? Excuse me? Because it can pertain to like one specific type of food or, for example,
Yeah.
perishables, or it can like include like a whole number of food. And I was like, that is sad. That I don't think I want to walk in this life with the fear of food. I'd rather have a fear of dogs than over food.
Imagine having a fear of like carbs. I would be so thrilled to have like this phobia of carbs. Then I would only eat healthy food, a little bit of protein here and there, some veggies, all the stuff that's good for you. I'd be in great shape and I could blame it on this phobia for carbohydrates. I'm terrified of bread. Sorry, don't bring that bread in.
No.
Potato chips? No, I can't have those.
Do you know how boring your life would be? It's so sad. Like I honestly, I would rather deal with every other phobia out there, honestly, even a phobia of dogs, than food.
You do have a bit of a dog
Gareth.
phobia. You are a little bit dog phobic, right?
Yes. So I'd rather deal with that knowing that I can still walk around this earth and escape, dealing with dogs. Food, everywhere you go, Gareth, think about it. You go somewhere, you're gonna smell some food, people offer you a plate. When you get hungry, then you have to think about, can't eat that. Can't. I'm sorry. No, sir. I feel sorry for people that suffer from this phobia. I really do. No.
I think there are worse things to be afraid of than this. I think that this could be a solution rather than a problem. I'm just saying. All right. You and Ryan, I know you guys went to the Cannabis Expo with Mash, right? And Mash got a bit high, and then he started to drive home, which is hilarious. So did you guys also partake in some edibles and things?
Yes. But wait, before we get to that story, Gareth. So when we arrive and we're like, hi, we're here for the expo, one of the listeners, I just forgot his name, was like, I know you guys. And it was like, oh, hi. And that was quite interesting. It's like, oh, people recognize us again. Okay. Like, best behavior now.
Nice.
And then we got into the expo. And yeah, like I had an edible for the first time and I it's not for me, guys. No.
Yeah,
No.
I haven't been to the expo. Apparently, it's huge. I mean, it's growing every year because we were kind of meant to be involved in the first one. Remember when they started the Cannabis Expo? We had meetings with them and we were going to do things, and I think we even had 2 or 3 of the people on the show at some point. Anyway, I mean, I think it's great. I think cannabis is this massive opportunity for South Africa to make lots of money. I know some people who are doing it at high, huge, heavy scale. Like they've just got, rows and rows of greenhouses and tunnels that they've filled on the sides of mountains with weed, and they're growing it and they're exporting it. They're not even selling it locally, which is amazing. And if you can work on that scale because you've got lots and lots of money and lots and lots of land, that's great. But even for people who don't have lots of land and lots of money, people in the rural Eastern Cape, for example, which is apparently a great place to grow it, KwaZulu-Natal as well, good for you. There's a cash crop you can sell, and now you're allowed to do so legally. I think that's terrific. So Lady Lee says, sorry, Gareth, too late. Gidizamba eating time. Yeah, you're right. I know that's coming. That's exactly
Imagine
why
you can't have Christmas lunch. Gareth, some phobias. You must not miss out on life, the quality of life.
No. Steve E says, lol, my cannabis guy has Black Friday deals, 30% off.
That's a smart businessman.
Oh my God.
I love it.
Lol, that could become quite a movie if they're all having a bad trip, lol. Yeah, well, you and Ryan and Mash walking around the Cannabis Expo is probably hilarious. I would have liked to have followed you guys with a camera. I think that would have been fun.
Yeah. It was interesting because this was Mash's second time attending, and this was our first time. So he was taking us like through this, and he's like, "Oh wow! Last year when I was here, this wasn't here." I was like, "Excuse me, sir, what's this?" And then we see like, and there's so many products. There's like, I just thought it was just edibles, the sweets, but there's pancakes, and there's the infused gin, and then there's the CBD oils, and then there's this and that. And I was just like, by the end of it, I was like, okay, I'm hungry. I just want food. Where's the food? And I'm hungry.
Someone gave me a little tiny, like an eyedropper bottle with, they said it's to help you sleep, right? But they like give me very explicit instructions that you must take a tiny little drop and just one, no more than that, because otherwise you'll be and I followed the instructions explicitly. And I mean, this is like 2 months ago that they gave it to me, and I tried it on, I think it was a Saturday night, so that I knew I could have the whole of Sunday because I do not like these things. Ben will remember. Ben, you remember when hey, Ben.
Hey, guys.
You remember when we did those edibles on the show that time, and it fucked us up for an entire weekend.
Yeah, that was bad. That was so bad.
It was terrible. I put me off anything to do with that. And we're just talking about this because Simpiwe and Mash and Ryan went to the Cannabis Expo the other day. Anyway, I got this little eyedropper bottle from this dude, and he's like, "Oh, you must take just one drop if you really want to have the best sleep ever." And I did, and I promise you, I woke up at, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock the next morning, and I still felt groggy until like lunchtime. So obviously, it works. If you have trouble sleeping, this stuff is miraculous. We should be selling it. They should have made it legal years ago.
But Cliff, did you feel good, or were you just in bed for that long? I mean, did you feel rejuvenated eventually?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I'm not a troublesome sleeper. I'm not one of those people who like, oh, can't get to sleep, tossing it. That happens to me, but it happens to everyone. But normally I sleep very well. But I can understand if you're one of those people who has terrible sleep, and sleep, Ben, you know this, is so important. If you're not getting good sleep, everything else is fucked up. And this stuff could really help people.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I had about 4 hours sleep. I'm pretty hungover, and I feel like absolute ass today.
Yeah, where were you last night? You got another award.
Yeah, last night was quite a big one. So it was the Sports Industry Awards. Thank you. And we were up against like the biggest long form audiovisual pieces of content for the year in sport, and yeah, we won and absolutely owned it on stage. Probably a bit too much. Thank you.
That's a deal. Yeah, well done, Ben. Very, very
Yeah,
nice.
so our Mapimpi documentary that's it. All the awards are done. And last night really, really meant quite a lot to us. And it's cool, like end of year, we all got together as a team, and that was very nice. It was very nice. Even like, you have moments when you work hard on things, you don't actually see much of a return. So yeah, I think that's one of the main reasons why awards should be good, when you get your colleagues together and everyone can have a bit of a jaw. And it was nice. We were at so this event hasn't happened properly in like 3 years. So there was also that, like seeing people again. It was cool. Nice way in the week.
And you were in the Kruger Park not so long ago. That's why we didn't see you last Friday, the Friday before. And you went with the family. How was that?
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I really have I've added layers to how obsessed I am about this Kruger Park place. It really is like driving. It was the coolest place because all you kind of see is foreign people. So you're in your country, but you also feel like you're in this other dimension where you're just hearing foreign languages. It's just so cool, and like to discover new places. Like the Kruger Park. Just gonna show you something quickly. So this is the level I went to, right? I have this book called Kruger Self-Drive Routes and Roads and Ratings. Every single road in the Kruger is documented in this book, so you can plan your trips.
I gave that book to my dad for his birthday this year because he's obsessed with the same thing.
What an absolutely thoughtful, wonderful gift, Gareth. It is. It's just so cool. And I had my brother with me. He had to do some work, unfortunately, but it was cool to get him out there. So I was just the world's keenest guy. Up at 4 o'clock, we're in the queue to get out of our rest camps. And he's like tired, not quite into it. And we just drove. And for the first time in one trip, I actually saw the Big Five within Kruger, including a leopard in a tree. It was cool. It was so great. But the weird thing was, like, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing, maybe a bad thing, but because it's so late in the year and I took a week off, this week has been so hard to get back into normal life. Because I'm thinking like, wow, am I on holiday already? It was just like, it was such a good trip that I probably got far too relaxed, far too into the wild.
Well, I wanted to also get to grips with your thoughts on the World Cup because I'm still not on the bandwagon. I embarrassingly have to admit I haven't watched a single match yet, and I'm just not drawn to it. And there's no point in fighting inevitability, right?
Yeah,
I know Simpiwe's got the TV on in the office today, and they're going to be watching the daytime games.
Wales versus Iran.
Yeah, I mean, really, wild horses couldn't drag me to that match. If you gave me free tickets and flights and accommodation and, dinner with the Sheikh's whole harem of women, I wouldn't go. Not for Wales and Iran.
I mean, Gareth, obviously it doesn't help that Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia in probably the biggest World Cup upset of all time. Argentina had won 36 games in a row.
And then they lost that one.
Some people are saying, and of course I'm going to stand up for Argentina, even though I didn't watch the match and I have no specific knowledge here. Someone said to me, yo, this just proves that the World Cup is rigged. That's bullshit too, right?
So I would normally be the person to say, yes, probably it's rigged. You can't trust these people, brown envelopes, all that kind of stuff. But there's something quite special about sport that we often forget, in that Argentina are a great side, and they came up against people who, this is probably the biggest thing that's ever happened in their entire lives. And I know that sounds incredibly cliched, but sometimes you get the right mix that on the day, athletes who are all elite athletes just get it right mentally, and they just get a couple of good things in sequence. And Argentina scored, I think, 6 goals in that first half, but there was offsides, all that kind of stuff. So it was probably quite deflating for them. And then just when you lower your guard slightly, you get sucker punched. And then that's how these small teams actually win. And that is still what happens in sport. I know we've all become very cynical with corruption, but it is still possible. And like, I thought the best thing was the celebrations from the Saudi people, because here we have a nation that's not really been into sports, and they've already picked it up recently, kind of, acting like this. And this one clip was so incredible. There's like 8 guys in a room. Obviously, there's no woman that can watch something like football, and they all just start jumping around and going mad. And this guy rips the door off the hinges of this room. It was
winning.
He rips off a door.
They're dancing in their like outfits, the Saudi outfits, to like Katy Perry songs, and I'm like, this is not right.
It's the funniest thing to see people suddenly, because like that's what sport can do. It can just make everyone act like the same kind of crazy, which is also kind of cool.
Did you watch the Germany and Japan game? Because everyone was quite upset that Germany lost again to Japan.
But the most cool thing about that, which I see on the internet in memes, is the Japs cleaning up the stadium afterwards.
Mm-hmm. And they even left a thank you note.
That's so sweet, So they're such good, but we should all aspire to be a little more Japanese, at least in that respect. I mean, not so much the vending machines with people's used underwear, but the more like refined parts of Japanese behavior and culture. I mean, really, imagine South Africans cleaning up the stadium. I think we would probably make it worse. If you sent a bunch of South Africans in after the game, they'd make it even more messy.
It's a party, Chief. What do you mean? They're all going to be drinking and having like, but higher. Did you watch the game? Yo, shabalala.
What I mean is, like, South Africans would piss and shit in the stands and that kind of thing. Like, the Japanese would go and fill up bags and tie them up and leave a thank you note and like wipe the chairs and make sure that it's amazing. It's the opposite of us. We would go and like throw feces at each other and stuff. It's disgusting.
Yeah, I was in the Joburg CBD last night. It'd be quite cool if Japan took it over for like a year.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Just while we're on the World Cup, because I don't want to talk about it all day. I haven't watched enough yet to be able to add any value there. You want to ask a good question about the World Cup, Ben, because there's a lot of protesting going on all around the world about all sorts of things, mostly climate change, from people who've got absolutely no idea of how to change the climate or what that means or what they want other people to do, but they just love the attention that they get out of protesting. And nobody's done this, which is a good suggestion. Ben has a suggestion. If you're an activist, Gen Z or millennial activist who wants to do something, now's your time to shine, right, Ben?
Yeah, well, I think in all industries, Gareth, or whenever anything's around attention, you've got to raise the game, right? You've got to up your stakes. So attacking these defenseless pieces of art is so 3 weeks ago. They should be gluing themselves to these amazing stadiums or gluing themselves to, like the football fields. Why aren't they doing that? These people aren't committed enough. You can't tell me that they really care about this if they aren't at the moment taking on the biggest event with the most eyeballs in the world. So it just goes to show that these people cannot be trusted. They're not sincere. They're half-assed about their campaigns.
Right.
If they're not all going to like glue themselves to the stadium today while Iran takes on Wales, then you can't actually believe it. You can't actually believe in their activating. See, it's not even a word. It's just stupid.
Sanele wants some advice from us this morning because this is way more interesting than anything that's in the headlines. I need advice. I'm not a complete lunatic if I take my gin with orange juice instead of tonic this morning, instead of my regular 7 a.m. coffee, right? I mean, orange juice is mostly used for breakfast. What do we think of it?
Snella, yes, but what you must do is there must still be some pulp in there, so you do get some fiber, and it's not just the juice. Because if you have too much orange juice, it's not going to be very good for your liver. You basically just overloading it. So there we go.
I would say if this was in December, then you're not. We're still in November, Chief. Behave.
Oh,
false starting.
Right. Yes, so Simpiwe's got rules. I always have a rule that I don't, no matter what, whether it's holiday or anything else, I don't drink before 12. But then I do remember a few, holidays, waking up with a bunch of friends in a house, and then someone's already sitting outside having like a drink at 9 a.m. My rules for me, I've managed to keep in place. This is interesting. Carl says Japanese people are really amazing. If they were better looking, I'd love to be one.
What?
Well, it's only a bit of racism there, just a little bit, so that's all right. You know, yeah, I started this thing last Friday, which got a huge reaction on Instagram. So I'm going to carry it on today. Is like stuff that must stop, like things that we must stop. And I put up, all kinds of things that it just got a lot of attention from people. And I thought, well, people like this, so I'll do it again today. It's just 10 things that have to stop. And I'll do that again this morning around 9. I was at the airport last Friday, and I thought, I'm sitting here. What else do I have to do? Let me write some of these things down and have some fun. So I'm going to do that, and we'll see if it can become a thing. We might even do it on the show one morning.
It's a wonderful idea, Gareth, but don't you dare attack rye bread ever again.
You like rye bread. It's disgusting. I said rye bread isn't even real bread. It's like when, someone very, very ugly is wearing something that is meant to be on someone really lovely.
Rye bread is bread that actually went and did something with its life. What are you talking about? Thick cut white loaf. That's not even food.
Rye bread tastes disgusting. Oh, look, I mean, most bread is unnecessary. We should do without.
It's bread. It's bread, Gareth. What do you want?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Okay. So a couple of things we've got to do this morning before we get into the next hour of the show, and it's already Jesus. Look at the time, 1:45. All right. So. Just a few things. Elon Musk still in the news. That guy is having so much fun.
I love it.
I said, I love it too. I said to somebody yesterday, I'm just so jealous of how much fun he's having. I don't care about his money or anything else. I just love seeing how much this guy's. He's probably laughing. I mean, he's a nerd, so he's probably that's probably how he laughs in his office and Twitter headquarters or whatever it is. He found a cupboard full of t-shirts. Did you see that?
Yeah, that was so funny.
Yeah, so he found this cupboard full of Stay Woke t-shirts, and he's like, "Oh, really? Look what I found in Twitter HQ." And now he's made a bunch of t-shirts that say "Stay Work" instead of "Stay Woke." It's actually work. He made this ultimatum to his staff, right? He said, guys, we're about to go through a period where we're going to improve Twitter. We're going to do a lot. If you are not on board to work hard and to put in extra hours and really drive this business with me, then I'm going to pay you a severance package and you can just go. And like a whole group of people were like, no, we'll just take the severance package and go. What a brilliant way, though, to get all the shit out of the system. Isn't that clever? You just threaten them with hard work and they go, we're out. Bye-bye. We'll take the severance package. I mean, whatever he paid them is worth it.
But like not even. He threatened them with work. Take out the word hard. He basically just said, guys, we got to improve this. And they were like, oh, no ways. Because just like you said a few weeks ago, these people didn't have real jobs. They weren't doing anything. They were make-believing. Play.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole reason you're here, that reason, guys, like work, we're going to do more of that. And he's apparently already increased the speed of Twitter, which he's warned people to just be aware of. Like there's going to be a slight increase in speed. Also, hate speech posts are down by 2/3 since he took over, which is really interesting too, because people were saying, oh no, there's going to be an explosion of hate speech. I think he's making small incremental changes, which are going to be very good for anyone who still uses Twitter.
Yes. But I think I understand why the employees left. It's because they're not qualified for the job. And if someone's going to say to you, yo, dude, it's time to step up now and do what you actually paid for, you're like, oh, shucks. In fact, I don't know how to do this thing. He's going to ask me questions that I have no cooking clue what the answer is. Let me take the money and be out. And I think that's what happened. They were just like, let's be honest. We don't know how to do whatever this man wants us to do. Let's go.
But great move. I mean, every company in the world should do this. They should say at the beginning of next year, like, guys, we're going to be working really hard. But if you don't want the hard work, that's cool. Here's an extra couple of $100. Just go. And then we'd clear out the workforce, and because there are people out there. There are people in every country in the world, even in places where they only have 3 to 6% unemployment, like in America, where people are desperate for work. There are some South Africans who've been sitting on their hands for like 2 years now trying to find a job. And these are not lazy people. I mean, there are lazy people, but there are also people who are out there who are desperate to find meaningful, gainful employment, who want to make a contribution, I reckon we got to give those people a chance and get the crap out of the system. You know how many people I've met in big businesses in South Africa, and I've thought, how the hell did you get here? How did you get this job? You are the most average person imaginable. How did you get a job in a big company like this? And then you find out that they knew the chief marketing officer's daughter at school or whatever, and you think, how are they holding on to you? Surely by now they've realized you're completely shit at your job. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I always find it amazing how these companies have so much fat, so to speak, and so much latitude on employment, because running companies is hard as fuck. Like making money and like managing your margin is so difficult. Like, where do you get the time and the luxury to have useless people?
Yeah. Well, here's the latest story from Twitter. I thought you'd enjoy this. So Elon Musk has just fired Twitter's sales executive after she refused to sack more employees in the ad sales team, according to two people familiar with the matter. Robin Wheeler, Twitter's global head of advertising sales, handed in her resignation on Thursday, but Musk persuaded her to stay in the job. 1 week later, he changed his mind and
He tried conforming. He tried doing what everybody else does. And then he was like, damn it, can't do this. Go.
I don't think he tried. I think he did this on purpose. He wanted to fire her. He didn't want her to leave on her own terms. So he said, no, please stay. We need you. And then a week later, so apparently she refused to cut the head count of Twitter's ad sales team. She said the department was already depleted. Wheeler, whose Twitter bio now says proud ex-Twitter sales executive, tweeted on Friday in the past tense saying, to the team and my clients, you were always my first and only priority. She concluded the tweet with a salute emoji, a sign that has become symbolic for Twitter employees leaving the company. Oh, where? They all doing the salute.
So noble.
Oh, my God.
I mean, first of all,
just take your L and leave. Like just leave.
Sad. Like, they're also telling everyone on the platform that they're leaving. Like, that's so sad. They've obviously got nowhere else to talk to anyone. So they're like, I'm leaving Twitter, but I'm also saying goodbye on Twitter. And I'm probably going to be here again in a month's time complaining about Twitter because I'm not there anymore. Anyway, they reported some Twitter staff and the sales team found out over the weekend and on Monday they'd been sacked. This came after Musk he sent an email to employees about his expectations for building Twitter 2.0. They didn't immediately respond at Twitter to the requests for comment. Wheeler hasn't yet replied to requests for comments from her either. She joined Twitter in 2012 as a senior director of sales, and she's built relationships with some of the biggest clients like Coca-Cola, Google, and Microsoft. She became the head of ad sales in April this year. So they've replaced her with someone called Chris Reedy, who is their former vice president of Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, it's fun to watch this stuff. Apparently, they laid off all but one person at their African office here in South Africa. They got rid of everybody except one just 3 days after they opened it.
Was it a Kumbula Kaya moment, or it was just a genuine, your work ethic is great? Like,
that's so great.
Which one was it, Elon?
I don't know. I want to meet that one person they kept because they fired every other person. That's how
Chief, how did you do it? They must do a whole documentary, how not to get fired.
And it was so funny. Just a few weeks ago, Simpiwe, you told us about this quiet quitting phenomenon, which is taking place when millennials and Gen Z people just, they go to work, but they don't do much. They slow their progress. They do the absolute minimum. They clock in and clock out, but they don't do actually any work. This is quiet quitting. And we were talking about this just a few weeks ago. And now suddenly, if you quiet quit, they're gonna fire you long before you start that shit. And even in places like Silicon Valley, where they've tolerated nonsense for such a long time. I just thought that was a funny story to get us going this morning, just in case you felt like you had a hard job and that your life wasn't working out. Well, there are other people too who are having hard times. And it's happening in Silicon Valley, where they've been overpaid for months, years. Listen to this. Rats, talking about the Cannabis Expo just now. Rats in India ate 200 kilograms of seized cannabis in a police station in India.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Rats have no fear of the police. They start the article. It is difficult to protect a drug from them. That's what a court in Uttar Pradesh state has said. The court asked the police to produce the stash as evidence in cases of drug peddling. The judge cited 3 cases in which marijuana was destroyed by rodents. The judge said in an order that when the court asked the police to produce the seized drug as evidence, they were told that 195 kilograms of cannabis had been eaten by rats. I don't know if this is all the rats. I must be honest with you. I think maybe the police are in on this. In another case involving 386 kilograms of the drugs, the police filed a report saying some of the cannabis was eaten by the rats. This is amazing. Apparently, 700 kilograms of the total marijuana seized by the police lying in police stations in this district has all been in danger of infestation and eating by rats. Imagine how much fun these rats are having.
I can totally believe that. You know, those rats, they're very unreasonable. They don't start and do little things. They just go and they swarm. And I'm guessing there's lots of rats in that place.
Yeah, but what happens to them when they're high? Like they just chill there now. They're not running around. Like
they become massively paranoid that cats are chasing them.
Well, Ricky says, imagine a high rat. It's like standing around like this. What the fuck?
And then it moves, and it's like, oh, and it goes back. Oh my gosh! Like what happens? And can you even catch a rat when they're high? Then, like, is that the best way to get? Like,
I kind of want to see what the follow-up story is, because that many rats high. Can you imagine what their munchies must be? Like, what do they then eat? Oh, wow. Do they then take a building down? Do they eat old people? What's the follow-up?
Because, you know, if there's a big enough swarm of rats, they can do a lot of danger. You know, they could cause a lot of danger. They could do a lot of damage. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure they could chew their way through like brick walls if they were all motivated enough. All right. So, what is the perfect Christmas plan? Ben wants to know, and I want to know too. We've got to get our December plans now in order. There's no more time to fuck around. If you haven't booked accommodation and plane tickets and you haven't thought about where you're going to go, you're too late now, because before you know it, there's going to be nothing available, right? So we have to have our plans in place.
Yeah, so maybe this is for 2023 onwards. But, you know, like we obviously, most of us have family obligations, whether we like them or not, and that's how Christmas happens. But I was chatting to a friend last night, and him and his family are going to Lapland. They're going to be on like those snowmobiles. They're going to be going to the North Pole.
That's cool.
And you think like at some stage in your life, having a cold Christmas must be the best, like absolutely in snow, wearing jerseys, because Christmas, I've always believed, is like if you look at like Santa's in a big suit, you know, he's not in a pair of board shorts and flip-flops. No. Christmas is a winter thing. We just have to. We're unfortunately on the wrong side of the globe, but we do obviously celebrate it in our own way. So for me, I would want to go somewhere really, really cold and some like old hotel where they have like a huge tree in the lobby. Like I want to live like the absolute movie kind of cliche Christmas at one stage in my life in the cold with someone special. That to me, like,
that sounds amazing.
I really, really want to make that happen. And I've been thinking about it quite a lot in the last 2 weeks. So as much as I like spending time with my family, which I told you a couple of weeks ago, it's another Christmas, right? I want to go somewhere. I want to like make a Christmas adventure while I still have some wonder and youth running through my veins. And I think that next year, this is what I want to do. I want to prioritize this.
Sounds very good. But Congo Chris says Lapland sounds like a strip club.
Exactly. I think well, everyone's got a different kind of Christmas, you know. You can go Lapland or
yeah, I totally agree with you. Like, I think it would be fun to have one of those movie Christmases, you know, those ones that, and we've got to remember, like, Christmas is a fairly modern invention, and Father Christmas's colors, Santa Claus colors, actually, I think Coca-Cola decided he was red and white because that was their color. So
correct. They made that.
There's a lot of this is totally made up bullshit, but I would love to be in the snow for Christmas and, you know, actually see reindeer and actually hear what sleigh bells sound like and actually hear like people caroling from house to house. I mean, maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it's just all in my head. But when I think about Christmas, the European or American way. I think that's how they do it, and I'd love to see that once in my life, just once.
Well, if you go to those like major European cities, now that terrorism's chilled out a little bit, they have those amazing Christmas markets in the cities where there's thousands of people coming together in their big woolen knitted outfits, and they're all just getting drunk and they're eating seasonal foods. Like, that would be so damn exciting. And yeah, now that like the world is a bit more normal, like I'm kind of really want to do this again.
Totally agree. So someone says the best white Christmas is in Colombia. Animal. Yeah, Cheryl says there's nothing better than a white Christmas. I don't think she means like white supremacy Christmas. I think she means like Rusty says, I'm going to Romania, or is that remain here? Yeah, it's very difficult to figure out whether people are joking or not in the comment section. Michael says, let's have auditions for Ben's Lapland special someone.
I'll be the DJ. I know the exact music that we must play for the people that must, give the special dance. So that's sorted, Ben.
Right. Santa's little helpers never had a new connotation.
Right. Gareth, we all know how you hate the cold. You and snow, you think you'll complain about the cold the whole time. Bullshit, Ricky. I have been in the snow. I have skied in the snow. I love it, but I don't want to live in it. I mean, it's very different to go somewhere on holiday and to feel a bit of that magic and that, we don't have anything like that in South Africa. People go, oh, well, you could go to, what's that, Afri-ski in Lesotho. That's not the same. There's like there's a patch of sand this big that fills up with snow, and that's it. I want to go and actually be in Europe for Christmas, just for Christmas. I agree with Ben. I mean, like, he's spot on about that. I think it would be amazing. All right. It's 7:00, people. We've got to take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. Stick around. Lots of good stuff on the way. CliffCentral.com. Friday morning. Woohoo! It's the weekend. You got lots of things to look forward to, and it's almost December. Hooray!
Yeah, last week.
Every time you listen to that 80s show, Tom Cruise lives another 10 years. Every Friday on CliffCentral.com, Paolo and Dory review movies, reminisce about old songs, remember childhood places that are now car parks, and say some outrageously rude things about Patrick Swayze's brother. That 80s show, new episode every Friday, live or as a podcast on CliffCentral.com.
Up next in the Auto Trader podcast.
Now there's a problem where there's a lot of automotive companies, General Motors, VW, and all the subsidiaries, so Lamborghini, Porsche, Audi, are all considering. In fact, three have already. General Motors, VW, the holdings company, and Stellantis, the holdings company, all decided to pull out their ad spend. And now Twitter's at a point where basically all their money came from. So you're having these large companies pull out.
Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Yes, it is Friday morning, cliffcentral.com. We got lots of things to get into. I saw an interesting question just a moment ago. And I thought we'd finished with the Black Friday discussion, but this is quite a good one. What product would motivate you to go and take part in Black Friday today? Is there anything that's so cool? Whether it's a gadget. I mean, like, I'm meant to get a new phone. And Mash was saying on Monday, he's finished with Apple. He's moving on. He's no longer going to be. He's lying. I know. Of course.
He's. You know when you get impressed about something and you're like, oh my word, I'm gonna so get this afterwards, and then you realize, I was speeding.
He's lying.
That's Mash.
I agree. So I've had this phone for 5 years, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I think, the other day it just switched off and wouldn't switch on again. And I thought,
yeah, it's time.
Probably time. So something like that has to happen to get me to actually change phones. So if they were selling a new phone at a reasonable, like, let's say like 50% off, then I might actually be persuaded to participate in Black Friday. But otherwise, not a chance.
Well, for me, I think all the tech stuff, like I would love to get a new phone, upgrade my laptop, get a new camera. So like all the tech stuff,
all of that.
I would definitely, but it would have to be like, because these things are so expensive. Also, as you said, like 50% off, and my budget is insane. Where I know I have a trolley and I'm literally walking out with like the best, and even small things like an external hard drive. Those things are so expensive. Buying external memory cards, small things like that, just fill up in the cart. And I think that's only take things though. Like I'm not here to go buy groceries for Black Friday. No.
No, groceries, not a chance. So you wouldn't. Wild horses again couldn't drag me the World Cup or to that.
Or even clothing. I've seen people, they have bags and what. I'm like, girl, bye. No, you're not serious. Yeah.
Well, Kala just said, I just did an all-out Christmas shopping with Discovery Miles and Black Friday specials. Did not spend a cent in cash. That's amazing.
That's how you do it.
I'm blown away, but that is an incredible achievement. Well done. JC Adonis says, I'm hoping to purchase my own card machine to accept card payments on the markets for my baby hats and or food I make. Well, okay, get a card machine. That's a good idea. Nice. Well, that's a business purchase, though. I like that. Okay, so Cheryl says 2 things that I would buy on Black Friday that would make me go to the queues. Bobby Brown Cosmetics, but I still don't think that'll get me to the malls. I hate the malls in Cape Town. Okay, but you only said Bobby Brown Cosmetics. You didn't tell us what the other one was.
Yeah.
No, I'm curious because I don't care about cosmetics, obviously. So I want to know what the other one is. The only thing I ever bought on Black Friday, says Jean, years ago was a smartphone because I needed one.
Smart man.
Cool.
Smart man.
iStore pre-owned is what a lot of people are saying. Get a demo or secondhand Apple from iStore pre-owned. Baby nappies. Ooh, one on the way, lovely Lady Lee. Congratulations.
Yeah, I think, yes. So I'm officially in the season where all my friends are either getting engaged or they're getting knocked up. So I like the nappies one, like let me just bulk buy these nappies. And then like every time there's like a baby shower that I have to attend, now I can just be like, here you go with your gift. So I like that.
I don't know if Carl is talking shit here, but if it is true, it's hilarious. Apparently the EFF are complaining about Black Friday because of the name. They say it's always the blacks associated with cheap. Highball. Really? They've run out of things to complain about if that's their problem. Really?
So what would they prefer it be called? White Friday? Like I don't know. What's the alternative, Chief? Stop complaining. Give us a solution. Sugar. No. Next.
Here's some good stuff. Ryan says, top tip, a Cliff Central top tip. The thing you need to buy on Black Friday is tires. Super cheap deals on tires. Really? Is that true?
Yeah. So, yes, I think this is a good one. If you are going to spend, besides tech, also your car, start getting things for the car. Things are expensive. I know, like, I have a friend who has insurance, like overall insurance for his car, but also has tire insurance because tires are that expensive. You can easily like fork out 10,000 Rand for one tire. And imagine you have to replace all 4. That's 40K. Where are you going to get that, sir? That's a good one as well.
You know, it's the least sexy thing in the whole world to go and buy tires. I mean, it's like buying insurance. It's the most unsexy purchase you could ever make. You know, at least if you have a phone, you can say, "Wow, I bought this phone for Black Friday." Well, I've got tires on my car that are already, you know, half worn down.
Smart purchase. That's all we're saying. Like, if you do have a car, this is the best time to start getting. I mean, not everyone's on a motor plan. That's the thing, and a lot of South Africans don't have insurance. So if you don't, then start getting the tires now.
I know it makes sense, but really, Paul says I did make that thing about the EFF up. I'm sorry. I knew it was bullshit. I won't lie. All right. We're going to talk about some other stuff that's going on in the news in a moment or two. We also get this email from Nikita, which is quite sweet. Hey, team, I just wanted to quickly comment on the burning platform yesterday. What a great discussion. I thoroughly enjoyed the refreshing perspective of Lukhona Mnguni and the passion for transforming the South African political landscape. It certainly appears that the Ravonius Circle is off to a good start. Thank you, team, for hosting in one of my favorite shows to date. Isn't that nice?
Yes, that is. That is very, very nice.
We got some really nice feedback after yesterday's show. I reckon that Lukhona is probably one of the best guests we've had on the Burning Platform, so we're definitely going to get him back whenever we can. Very, very good. All right, so people have now started the tire thing as a discussion, just like the air fryer was a discussion for weeks. So I hope this is not going to carry on forever. But Annette says, I did the tire thing last year. Saving was negligible. Ooh, okay, so not all good feedback. It definitely isn't all good feedback. Not everyone is agreeing with Ryan here. Also, a couple of other things that might persuade you to go. Christmas decorations. I mean, if you could save money on those because you use them once a year and then you put them away and then you realize when you bring out the lights they don't work anymore. I've got to put up mine next week. When do you do yours, Simpiwe?
So the whole Christmas decoration has never really been a thing in our house. The only thing we've ever invested in was the Christmas tree that gets put up on like the 20th and then we take it down on the 26th. But Lobang had shared with us that she got scammed, right? And the scam happened over a Christmas tree. She was trying to buy a Christmas tree, Facebook Marketplace, and boom, shaka boom, she got scammed. So now I'm just like, as in, guys, it's fine. I don't think Christmas decor is for me.
Where is Ben, by the way? Just send him a message. Ask him, is he?
I'm here. I've been waiting the whole time while you two natter on like no one gives a shit.
Okay, but we can't see you. It's like your camera's been off.
Well, I haven't done anything different. I've just been sitting here like a patient guest.
I can't. I thought you'd gone away because I switched on. No. When we came back after the commercials, I saw that you weren't there, and I thought, okay, well, he's not joining us anymore. So what's going on there? Can you go out and come back in so your camera's on?
Okay. Wow. Jesus. Rough treatment, huh?
So, Piwa, you also saw that, right?
Yes. I'm also like, I can see the backstage as well, and I can see Ben is there. So I'm about to text him to say, "Hey, are you having issues with your camera? Because we can't see you."
Jesus. Okay. Well, we'll try and get him back on. He's probably sitting there going, I've also got something to say. Oh, here he is. Embarrassing.
Look at that.
So how long were you sitting there just like muttering?
The whole time. I even opened my laptop. Now I'm looking at Black Friday deals I don't even care about. I was talking to Meowsers. Just sitting here.
what would motivate you to go out and get Black Friday deals? Is there any product in the world that you would actually go and line up for?
No, I don't need any single product. Actually, if my vet had a Black Friday deal, Meows's is kidney food. That would be pretty handy. That fucking shit's expensive.
Oh man!
I mean, because she's old, and she's quite particular about her food. She has to have this kidney stuff because there's less sulfur and it's costly. Look at her; she doesn't care.
She doesn't give a shit.
She doesn't give a fuck.
Just give me meat. Give me raw meat. Don't give me that fucking horrible pellet stuff that you give me.
Yeah, so she has to have the special kidney stuff. It's now at that age where she got to worry about her digestive tract. So I would like that on Black Friday and more trips to the bush. That's actually what I'm doing. I'm on the Sandparks website right now because you guys weren't talking to me.
I think
that's what I care
for the first time this year, like having Black Friday specials for trips. Like this is a new thing. For the first time this year.
Specials?
No, I don't know, like various companies, but we never used to get like Black Friday specials for trips, like local trips, international trips. So I think this year is the first time where you could actually get a Black Friday nice weekend away or whatever. So that's cool. I didn't know about the vet thing. You must just type an email there, Ben, and just be like, hey, we've noticed that Black Friday is a thing.
Not going to happen.
All the way Ben answered. It's like he was horrified that we were ignoring him. I saved 4,000 Rand, says Mapelo, on a fridge purchase yesterday online. I'm so impressed with myself. Well, Jesus, if you saved 4,000 Rand, what kind of big ass fridge did you buy?
No, cost of living. A basic fridge now starts at like what, 8K? 10.
Really?
Basic. Yes. It's like, because the thing is, what happens is, like, as time goes on, it's even with these smart TVs, they becoming the norm. Like every other TV you can buy now, it has the internet, you can connect it with your Wi-Fi and whatever. So that becomes the norm. And so a basic TV can easily cost you, I don't know, like 15,000. I don't know.
The obvious question has come in from Durban Dope. What is Eskom doing for Black Friday?
It's funny.
I know it's meant to be funny, but I'm struggling to find a reason. I'm sorry, I don't find that funny at all. All right, let's just get into this. Ben has a whole thing to talk about with regards to kids and career choices. So, obviously, when I was at school, what they do is they'd have people come and visit every couple of weeks to the school and tell you about a certain occupation, especially as you get to the end of high school, right? They're like, I am a doctor, and this is what I do, and these are the kinds of things that I deal with every day, and this is how much money you can earn, and this is all the, and you get these people who come in, but they sketch a nice picture of what because they're talking to kids. And when adults talk to kids, they don't want to depress them with the truth and the reality. No doctor who came to visit us, and they were mostly young, obviously former students at the school or something. That's why they got them in. And then they talked to us about this. They didn't say, I'm paying back a medical student loan that's, hundreds of thousands of rands, and then I have to go and work for the government for 2 years. They didn't tell us that stuff because that would have put us off. They try to trap you into, like, here's why you should be this. And they lie to you at school. They tell you, engineering is such a great career. You're going to build bridges and change the world and improve everything. Then you go and you end up in an office drawing drawings for like years and years and being paid minimum wage until someone notices you and promotes you. So what do you mean by this, Ben? Like, what kinds of careers are you talking about? Because that's all the career guidance we got at school.
So, yeah, I think they always sell kids dreams. And there's a stat that's come out that they interviewed like 3,000 kids. And kids generally still think that they want to be astronauts and they want to be athletes. And they want to be things that there's already kind of no need for, And I always find it like, look at that. Okay, so what's the blue thing there? Astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is that? I mean, YouTuber and vlogger, I kind of get it because kids just watch YouTube and they think, I can do this. I want to make money out of this.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're having like a career guidance day, I'm quite impressed that so many people in China want to become teachers. But athletes, musician, astronaut, YouTube vlogger. I don't think you should be really punting that for kids. Like, it's only going to lead to, I don't know, heartache.
Can I just say that the difference between the US, the UK, and China in these graphs tells me that Chinese people are imagining and visualizing a much more bright future for themselves than the US and UK people are. If your biggest dream in the UK and the US is to be a YouTuber or a vlogger, which, listen, it's a fun thing to do. Everybody can do it. It's low barrier to entry. You might make it and be a big deal and people will watch you. But if everybody becomes a YouTuber and vlogger, then who's watching all the YouTubers and vloggers? It means they've kind of given up on dreams. At least the Chinese in this case are still dreaming. And while teaching isn't everybody's cup of tea, it does mean you're putting something back into society. I mean, we've always said there are two kinds of teachers, the ones that really are brilliant teachers, and they're the ones who just never really mentally get beyond high school. So I don't think that, teaching is also an honorable profession in China, wherein, most of the Western world, we don't treat teachers with that much respect. What's interesting here is professional athlete also ranks high in China, as does musician. And by Chinese musician, they don't mean rock star, which is also great. They mean like, I want to be able to play the violin or the piano. Yeah. That's phenomenal. So again, China's proving, even though we don't like the way that they run their government, et cetera, China's proving here again with these graphs, Ben, that they are the dreamers and they are the future. The US, I mean, YouTuber and vlogger is the biggest by a way. Then you get teacher, then you get professional.
Just like the UK.
Goes all the way down.
It's absolutely mirrored in the UK as well. Yeah, it's very interesting seeing these kind of stats, and I often share them on the show. The statistic people are always working on interesting things. It's like, but I would like to see, because what I've kind of realized as you get older is that you've got to find the problems in society to find the best jobs, because supply and demand's a really big deal. I would love to be a YouTuber, vlogger. I would love to do nothing else but film my cat and make funny commentary or some shit. Like, that would be the easiest thing in the world. I could wake up late. I could do whatever I want. But there's no real need for it in life, right? So we need to make, like, plumbing sexy. We need to make other things that, like...
No one is going to wake up tomorrow in any government in the world and go, oh, my God, we've got a terrible shortage of vloggers. Someone... quickly call a emergency cabinet meeting. We need to get a strategy together on getting more vloggers, because it's not going to contribute to the economy the way that people think it is. You do need teachers. You do need nurses. You do need engineers. You do need policemen. You do need people who can fix roads. You need people who can pick up trash. You need people who can do boring but necessary jobs. And I know you don't want to sell that to school kids, because no one goes to school. Well, I just want to sit at a desk and fill in forms for the rest of my life. No kid wants to do that. So you can't sell them that idea. But man, those are the people we actually need in society.
But isn't it kind of, I know this is a very unromantic and uninspiring kind of way of looking at it, but isn't it kind of smarter if we were to reverse engineer these people? So it's like, what are the big problems in this country? Like, if we have 7,000 people that can make cheese, we might need to look at someone who can grow vegetables, right? And it's the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you got all these kids wanting to be vloggers, and I get it. I totally understand, because if one person can do it, then who am I to say you can't be the second person? But it's such a waste of time for these kids, like, it really is. They're only going to become burdens to their parents, and basically just litter the atmosphere with more stuff no one's going to watch. Like, we need to understand our societies better.
I think I have a solution, and the solution involves taking the professionals and getting them to kind of vlog what they do. I think the reason why a lot of US kids and the UK kids want to become vloggers because that's what they're consuming. Their parents will put on YouTube or whatever, and that's what they see. So in order to make plumbing sexy, you get a guy to start a YouTube channel. There's a old man, I follow his channel, forgot, it's like bro something, and he like creates these channels on how to do basic things of how to tie a tie, and then he talks to you like your older dad, and he'll be like, yeah, when I was your age I did this, and he's created this community where it's like you have now this older father figure that you watch, and he actually gives amazing. You like lessons and skills that you can implement in real life. So I think get the plumbers onto YouTube, because when I start watching a plumber doing his thing, I'm like, damn, I want to do that. Let's go do it. I think that's the best way to make it sexy.
Good idea.
I think it's terrific. Good plan. I met a plumber the other day who does buildings in the CBD, and he has stories. Oh my God, does he have stories? He says that like the way people live in some of those big buildings in town that have been hijacked, and the stuff he has to pull out of pipes. I mean, he has stories that will make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Phenomenal. That guy's got more interesting stories than a guest of ours who's written 10 books. Guaranteed. You just got to get him to sit down and start telling you stories, and he will not stop. And he will tell you about like the difference between the Nigerians and the Congolese and the Somalians who live in this building, and how they all behave, and how he has to behave to get in and out. It's phenomenal. Don't tell me that's boring.
Of course not.
You want a life of adventure? You want a life of adventure? Don't go and join the UN, the UK Marines. Just go and try and fix a toilet in a building in the CBD of Joburg.
Can you imagine like that guy's average smells per day?
This week, we are dealing with a South African, and how I can tell that he's South African is because it just has that it also weighs about 2 kilograms. Next week, there's
Unique
a Russian
bouquet.
thing, yeah.
It's like I'm about to go to the office, and I know I'm going to walk in. I'm going to smell freshly baked muffins from the coffee shop, and I'm going to smell coffee and maybe like a linger of someone's like toast when he goes to work.
No, he smells very different things. Oh, wow. I mean, that's a story. So yeah, we do need, I suppose there's a little bit of what I'm very opposed to is social engineering, but you kind of have to get kids, and this is what China is very good at because they don't give a shit about individuals, right? They just really creating people who can do something for the state because they're communists. So they will say, well, look like we need more teachers. So they'll make more people want to be teachers with propaganda, and they'll just tell them at school, hey, you're going to be a teacher, little Titlohon. And Titlohon goes, oh, okay, me be teacher. And that's the way it works. He doesn't get an option. He's but what about my dreams of being an astronaut? No, Titlohon, you become teacher. Okay, I become teacher. There's no fighting. I mean, he knows he'll be dragged outside and shot in the head if he doesn't become a teacher. So that's how it goes. Not everywhere.
Absolutely agree with you. Like it's cool that if someone is defiant, and that's how you actually reach your dream by saying, actually, fuck you, I'm going to be an astronaut, because that's what brings out the best in people. But I think kids are like, they've got to be kind of given these better options. If you just let in front of the TV and Spirit, you know what, you're actually right. Maybe it's like one of those things that YouTube could do better things. It's like, but maybe that's an entire genre that Cliff Central could like branch out into, careers that you should probably do. And all you do is you just have that as a YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, Gareth. It'll be a huge thing.
Okay. Again, I have to say, and I'm not for this, but this is what China do. They don't allow their own kids in China to watch stupid fucking Westerners doing dance videos on TikTok. They don't allow it. They block that stuff. The only stuff you get on TikTok in China is like educational stuff. Like they're teaching them about the planets and about physics and about mathematics, and like it's not people doing dances and measuring the volume of their farts on TikTok. They're doing like really important stuff on TikTok in China, and therefore they're going to end up with smarter children who will grow up into be smarter adults and not want to be vloggers and YouTubers.
Yes, so I think that's kind of where I was going with that in a roundabout way. But my hungover state has maybe lost train of thought.
Okay, well, anyway, all right. We're going to take some of these comments. I mean, a lot of people have got things that they would buy on Black Friday. But here's something from Corona's Boring. What about a career where you take money from others by force and you decide how to spend it, with the possibility of making random rules like banning the sale of open-toed shoes? You mean politics. What a great business to go into, especially in South Africa. The professions that you mentioned, like trash removal person, etc., if they got paid a very good salary, there wouldn't be trash anywhere in the city. But of course, they don't give a damn. I really think, there was a neighborhood. I went to visit someone for a business meeting, and Jesus, Ben, what happened?
Are you taking us on a vlog?
I realized
Your apartment.
At 7:50, I need to run away. So I've got eggs boiling, and now my cat has just run at something. I think he's just killed a bird. Sorry, Gareth, carry on.
A tour of Ben's house as a bonus. So now you've distracted me. I don't even. Oh yes, I was visiting someone, and I had a business meeting at his house, and he was telling me that in their neighborhood, and it's not an estate, so it's like this suburb where they've got like 1 or 2 entrances, and they basically pay a dude to clean up their neighborhood. Oh, there's the cat. They pay a dude to clean up their neighborhood. So there's a guy who he was obviously before he was just like a homeless guy, or he was someone on the street corner who was looking for a job. Now they pay him. Everyone in the neighborhood puts in, I don't know, $100 or something a month, and they give this guy a salary to keep the place clean, which is a pretty cool idea. Again, showing you that you don't need the municipality. You can actually do this, outsource this within your own neighborhood. And then maybe if that neighborhood's clean, you can expand to the next neighborhood, offer his services there if they all pay him as well. What do you think?
Yeah, some of these non-sexy careers, like taking out the trash, we might think that there's not money in it, but there's a whole lot of money in it, like being a boiler maker. Those people make a whole lot of money. It's just that we don't know about it. Like if I learned about it in high school, I was going to be like, maybe I should do that. But that's the issue as well. It's not that they don't make enough money, it's that we don't know.
Well, plumbers make good money. And Paul's right. Best occupations are the food industry and then plumbing. People have to eat and shit. They have no choice.
Yeah, but there's also something that as a kid, you always think like, I need to make money. What's going to make me rich? But there's also a thing as you get older about having like some sort of purpose and reward to your experience. And everything nowadays is so digital inclined. And, like our DNA does still want us to make things, use our hands and create, because that gives you purpose. If you just on a computer all day, you close your laptop, and you say like, what have I actually done for 20 years? I've just pushed emails around.
Right. Oh, I mean, that is soul destroying.
Absolutely. I sometimes feel like that. That's why it's nice to actually make like big pieces of work, because at least you can watch it back, or you can kind of have memories of people you've engaged with to create something.
Well, Michael says in Switzerland, if you do roofs, if you're a roofer, you make some very good money. Well, yeah, because it's a specialized thing, and like the snow can collapse roofs and things. So you really need to know what you're doing, I suppose. It's not just
and you're outdoors.
Yeah. So you're getting some exercise and some sun. It's not a bad thing. A plumber's slogan: "My poo is bread your poo is my bread and butter." That's a very good one.
We get shit done.
Pick It Up was late in our estate last week. Independent contractor cost was $100,000 for the whole estate. We didn't do it because it was too expensive. That's an opportunity, says George.
Wow.
$100K. I'm sure you could get a team of guys who are standing on the side of the road looking for work, and everywhere in South Africa, you'll find a team of guys standing on the side of the highway looking for work. And you could pay them a couple of $1,000 and they would do an even better job.
But I guess... I guess it, I've got to ask a better question. George, can you go onto Auto Trader and find a garbage truck? How much do they cost? how can we kickstart this business?
That's a good idea.
We could all go like 4 ways into the garbage truck and just start estate by estate.
Can you imagine Piwe and Ben and I like hanging onto the back of a garbage truck, picking ourselves off and grabbing the rubbish and throwing it in the back? It would be amazing.
We painted yellow.
I will volunteer to do the books. Thank you very much. I will do that, and all the
admin
and the logistics of coordinating what time you guys need to be there. Yeah, I will do that.
Okay. Well, Ben and I will get the exercise in, but we'll need some gloves because I'm not touching other people's trash. You know what kind of horrible shit people put in the trash. But then I'll do it for a day, and then I'll want to kill myself. So this is all a pipe dream. Back in the day, the best paying jobs and careers were to become legal secretaries. Never ever used this or went into the field, lol, says Cheryl. There's too many lawyers. We don't need more lawyers. Even the lawyers say that. Right?
Of course they do, because they want less lawyers, more billable hours.
Well, we've got enough of those. Okay, so good point. George says he'll drive. Okay, there we've got a business, guys. We've got a new business here. But you see, this is the point. Like, if you were really on the bones of your ass and you had nothing else going on, this is the kind of thing that I would have to seriously consider. A friend of mine was moaning about money the other day, which I think everybody has a right to moan about. It's really expensive to live now, and it costs more than it's ever cost. And obviously with inflation and all the disgraceful decisions that governments made around Corona and lockdowns and everything, now we're all suffering as a result of that. And that's their fault, but we have to carry the can. So people are thinking about ways to earn extra money. Some people have been laid off. They're looking for work. These are the kinds of things people have to talk about. So here we go. Silicide says, I'm just imagining Gareth after the podcast doing the trash cast. Yeah, there we go.
It would be absolutely brilliant. It would be so fun. Cruising on the back of a truck, judging people's garbage.
The truck that sucks the shit tanks empty is gold. Now that's interesting. They call them the honeysuckers. They're those, they're those big tankers that come in and they attach themselves to like a sewer or whatever, and they suck up all the shit and they take it somewhere else and dump it again. That's a horrible job. Ugh. Wonder if you could buy one of those on Auto Trader.
I think Auto Trader should get a whole new avenue of dirty job machinery. George, this is it. They'll all be petrol powered, of course. There'll be no electrical options, but this is, I think, a great avenue. Market differentiation. That's all that counts.
A dirty job machinery. Is that what it's going to be called?
I reckon if you went to the right person at Picky Tup with a FIFA brown envelope, you could probably pick 2 or 3 up. They might need a bit of a tune up.
Picky Tup.
You're on a roll, Ben.
Yeah, you are. You're on a total roll this morning. Listen, I've seen those big trucks and things, and I'm genuinely afraid of driving them. If I had to drive one of those things, I wouldn't know where to start. I'd be nervous the whole time. You know those big trucks? I saw a guy the other day with a truck with something else attached to the back of the truck, and he was doing a turn in the road, and he maneuvered this thing, and he actually, I don't know, he obviously knows what he's doing. I would be hopeless. I would have given up and just got the hell out and run. I would have just run away. Some of these trucks are impossibly difficult to drive. I don't know how people do them.
Gareth, it'll be a couple of days, and you'll pick it up in no time.
You really are on a roll. How about a septic tank cleaner? Says Arbos. Nice. Are we really looking for horrible jobs now? I remember the honeysucker coming down the road in McGregor, says Jean. Oh, that great memories you have of your childhood, John. I mean, most kids remember playing soccer with their friends, but not you. No, you remember the honeysucker coming down the road. That's great. Nice memories.
That could also just be like the local Bachocha back in the day. Changing topics.
Oh, right. Yeah, the honeysucker. That's a good point.
McGregor, small town.
Ben, do you still have that homeless guy who takes a shit outside your building every morning?
He doesn't take a shit, Gareth. He mouths off loud, incoherent babble. And he's actually he's a whole lot less frequent.
There was one morning you told us that he shat against one of the walls or something.
During lockdown, someone took a shit outside of our building. Yeah. Actually, during lockdown, this really weird guy, I don't know, he claimed to have been from Vereeniging and he was visiting friends. He managed to get into our first security gate and he did a bit of toileting. But no, I mean, I often, so people might know why Gareth brings this up, but I live on quite a busy road. Actually, seeing as I've already walked around my apartment, let me just keep going. And every now and again, there's this particular drunk, and I know by the sound of his wails that he just walks by and just shouts incoherently. So that's the road.
Okay.
So that's Call It Drive. So Call It Drive is a big road. There's this road.
Important street.
There's the hotel, and the homeless drunk guy walks down here on this road, and that's the trajectory. And then, sometimes obviously he's found good things in bins, and he's more animated than other days. But he's an absolute vibe. He's an absolute vibe.
What kind of things does he shout, or is it all incoherent?
Absolutely incoherent. I don't think there's any mother tongue in this African continent that could probably work out what he's saying. But he's very engaging. He will shout and wail, and then he'll shout at people as well. So I mean, his senses
have a conversation with him.
Is
You should
censorship not
just,
kind of in check?
I think you should talk to him one day. Just shout at him and be like, "Yo, Chief, Ushab," and then if he replies, document it.
Well, Superior, it's a lovely idea, but I'm on the 3rd floor, so that would mean he looks up, and then he might fall over and get unbalanced. And then if he gets hit by a car, then our ecosystem has lost an important player.
Yeah, I do like these people who are, separating the trash and taking it somewhere, because obviously they get paid for that. But it also seems to clean up like people's rubbish, and as long as they don't leave more mess than they found, then they're probably doing a good thing, right? Someone's paying them for that, so there's some value in that chain. I still don't know how it works. You see these people on these little trolleys, and how they manage to get these huge, balls of rubbish together, and manage to steer it around on a tiny little board that has basically trolley wheels underneath it. It's amazing to see.
Can we talk about those people? If there's any people out there that do not care, it's those ones, because they'll be in the middle of the road and you just have to move out the way and be like, don't want to bump you and your trash.
I just want to know where they find all these trolleys. I mean, is there another section on Auto Trader, George, that we should be talking about? Trash trolleys. Have a Black Friday on a trash trolley.
Yeah.
Because but genuinely, where are they finding these things? Because they all somehow have them and they all work. Despite the precarious wheel situation, they kind of go down these roads.
There's always one wheel that's not on the ground.
Exactly. But I mean, at that stage, they're going too fast and those other 3 are in it.
Sean wants to know, who was that homeless woman that you used to have on 5FM? It was a woman called... God.
There's no way to talk about Leanne.
No, man. No, we had a homeless woman in Cape Town, and she used to say, I'm homeless, and if I had a house to plug in my radio, I'd listen to Gareth Cliff on 5FM. That was her line. I can't remember her name now. But I also interviewed, this came up yesterday when I was talking to someone in a meeting. I interviewed this homeless dude in New York, and I was really struggling to get him to say what I wanted him to say. So eventually I made him laugh or something, and then he said this, and I've still got the clip, which I use from time to time.
You sure a funny man.
He says, you're sure a funny man. But he was a disaster. It's definitely meth and all kinds of other stuff going on there. I did quite like, what was the homeless woman? Elizabeth, the homeless woman. That's right.
Oh.
Yonder got it right. She used to live under a bridge in Cape Town, and she would call in. I mean, she'd send please call me's to her daughter. Then her daughter would get her on the phone, and she'd put her through to us, and we'd put her on and ask her all kinds of questions. And we used to have judge beauty pageants and all kinds of stuff for us. So I think we met Elizabeth once or twice when we were in Cape Town. We were broadcasting from some fancy hotel, and then we invited her, and she arrived with all of her shit, and she thought she had a room there for the night or something. And they were like, you can't let this woman in. And we were like, no, but she's a guest on our show. She has to come into the lobby and do the show with us this morning. And the hotel were very unhappy that we'd invited Elizabeth, the homeless woman. So I like that. I you know what? I find people like that fascinating. Like your guy who shouts
completely.
I mean, I find it fascinating.
Oh, yes. There's a whole YouTube channel that's called Soft White Underbelly, and they basically interview homeless people that are drug addicts, prostitutes, strippers, and their stories are always so fascinating. Like I watch it and I'm like, oh, is this how you got into it? What got you here? How are you? And then
it's a whole ecosystem. I mean, we don't know when we sit in our offices or we sit in our houses, and that whole street ecosystem is a whole different world. The way that the prostitutes fit in with the homeless people, fit in with the drug addicts, fit in with the muggers. There's a whole pecking order and hierarchy, and certain corners are for these people and other. It's stuff we don't understand. And you won't understand unless you're homeless, and God forbid you should end up in that situation. But I mean, it's different. It's a completely different universe to what we're used to. You don't have any funny people living outside your house, do you, Superior?
Of course course not. No. We don't have time for that in our neighborhood.
Your,
Like,
your, your grandmother would chase them away with a stick, I'm pretty sure.
not even my grandmother. So we have like a gangster living in
Geez.
who's our neighbor, right?
Oh
Not
my God.
retired gangster, but we love
Oh,
it because you know
all
why?
right.
He keeps everybody else in check. Like when people were trying nonsense to sell drugs and whatnot, you know who dealt with that? He did. So we have peace in our neighborhood. There's a lot of peace because he's around.
Okay, I
And
got you.
recently, like as it would happen, he got murdered. So the entire
Ah,
neighborhood was
crap.
like,
I hate
"Oh
that
no,
happens.
what's gonna happen to?" That was the first thing. What's gonna happen to the neighborhood now that he's not around? And it's like, guys, someone just passed on, like, and we're like, "Our safety. Oh, he's gone.
But
Oh no."
there'll be a new gangster who'll take his place because gangster hierarchies are always filled very quickly. There's always a new one. Am I
Yeah,
right?
but now
I
we have
mean,
to
that's
trust
it.
him, and like the thing is, we liked him. He had retired. He was doing good for the community,
Well,
our
do
community.
you remember
So,
Alan Ford had all those hookers on the corner under his apartment? I mean, Ben,
mhm.
you've got that homeless guy who seems to be more entertaining and not particularly dangerous. But Alan Ford in his apartment in Santon somewhere, he said he's got a bunch of hookers, like 2 or 3 of these hookers, and they're loud and they shout they don't talk at normal volume. He says at like 2 a.m, they're shouting at each other on the corner of his street.
I would love to know what they're shouting. Like, I often see the hookers on this road here. There's actually quite a lot happening on this road. Like, if I ever come home late from Santon, there's always like 3 or 4 ladies of the night, in the night, deep in the night. But I'd love to know what they would argue about. Is it about obviously customers? It's about outfits.
Fighting.
It's like, how dare you wear the same outfit as me on a Tuesday? I told you, I go pink on Tuesday.
Scratching each other's eyes out.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the fights are.
Maybe it isn't even fighting. Maybe they're just really enthusiastic and they're comparing like nails or whatever. Like, where did you get your nail? Ooh, that's very nice. What lipstick is that? You know, that kind of thing.
Or it's like, I told you we're not doing Black Friday deals. Here you are with a 4 rand gob job. How dare you?
You're
Take your
ruining
business.
everything.
Yeah, you ruined everything.
You know the Mahosha code. You're not allowed to do that.
I reckon. See, like going back to what you're saying about that YouTube channel, it'd be so interesting to have like a whole series of interviews, like how I got here. And you start off like, there's this one guy, he interviews billionaires to get like life points of like what is so cool. How did you become a billionaire? So you start off with a couple of those, to get the ball rolling. And then you start interviewing homeless people. Like, there's a guy I see him every day when I drive to work. I often wonder, like, how did he get here? Of course, if you go talk to them, you never know where it's going to go. And you don't want to sound like, ooh, you're a homeless person. I just want to see you. I want to know about your misery. You don't want to come across as that. But I always think, like, how did this guy get here? What happened? What was the series of events that maybe he could have stopped?
Those lessons may be more useful for people than the very exceptional story of a billionaire. Because
I agree.
The billionaire story is much, much harder to replicate. Whereas the story of the homeless person, especially if they had a spectacular fall from grace. I mean, there are people who are homeless because they've got severe mental health issues, and they come from, families where they had, privilege and money, and they went to a good school or whatever. Now they're on the street. I think those stories are way, way more useful for people, and they're more of a cautionary tale than the story of the billionaire. I mean, the billionaire story is still something you can kind of aspire to. But the homeless person story is one that we should be very careful of because it could happen to any of us, as far as I can tell.
There was a guy.
It's true.
Sorry, Ben. There was a guy years ago. I watched the show Kumbulek High, and he was like a homeless person. And what happened was I think he was like living in like Umalang or something, and he came to Joburg to study. And he wasn't doing well at school and he dropped out. And that's how he ended up homeless. Like, he was just like, I'm not going back home. I don't want to disappoint them. So, and it had been years. And then the family was like, where's our son? And they eventually got like a hold of him. And that's how he actually ended up living on the street. He just didn't want to go back home because he is going to be seen as a disappointment. And I was like, what? That's fascinating. And then he went back home and the family accepted him. I don't know if he's back or not, but I was just like, wow.
Listen, just a quick point of order. Sean wants to know, Simpiwe, your gangster neighbor, did he pass away before or after your phone was robbed?
Definitely after.
Never have happened while he was alive. Someone said, Cheryl says, when the Mahoshas fight on the corner, it's because one of them has stolen the other one's shoes.
Sure. Is that like the ultimate burn? It's like, it's the ultimate disrespect. I'm going to steal your shoes.
Yes, it is. You're not going to be jacking my swag. Who do you think you are? Trying to look all pretty? Okay, I'm the queen here, all right? I'm going to wear the Louis Vuittons. Not you, darling. Stick with your Mr. Prize. No, I can already see how that already... Don't try it.
I just love... I could talk about this stuff all day. I'm fascinated. I do want to make a reality TV show about this stuff. I think that homeless people are a resource. I mean, we can pay them to be on the show, right? So wouldn't be like we're taking advantage of them, as Ben said earlier. You know, you don't want to take advantage. You don't want to be down there and like, tell us about how shit your life is. But to hear their stories, you pay them, and then you put them in situations where they're like talking to each other, and we just watch, like two street hookers just arguing with each other. I want to know, like Ben says, what are they arguing about? That's fascinating.
Yeah, and I want to know, like, it's getting evening time, right? So, like, they stop begging, and then, like, what's the plan? That's what I want to know. And again, I don't mean this in a negative. What is the plan? Like, what do they need? What do they look for? What's the next step? Because with darkness, does...
So you and Simpiwe and I and most of us, I suppose, are working, and then at the end of the month, we've got rent to pay, or we've got to pay off our cars, or we've got groceries to buy. We've got a list of things we have to do to be in society, right? To be able to survive, to be able to live. What is the priority? Like, if you get 50 Rand from, I don't know, begging or blowjobs or whatever it is, what is the first thing you're going to do with that money? Food, maybe, but then after the food part, because you don't have a house to pay for or any of that stuff. So what are you going to do with that? I want to know how their financial planning works, if at all.
Yes, me too. Does it go straight to drugs? Like, what is it? Are they supporting people? This is great, guys. I really want to go in this.
I agree. This is fascinating.
This is so interesting.
George has got something to add to this. He says it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Hey, George, how's it?
Hey, Ben. Hey, Gareth and Pire. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, it's a real thing. The first thing that's important is air, being able to breathe, water, food. So those are probably the things I think they think about first.
But mainly drugs, says Sean, and I think that's mainly drugs. All right, so George, what do you think of our business? Yeah. I mean, what do you think of Ben's? There have been several suggestions. Dirty job machinery. We started a trash collecting business. Do you sell rubbish collection vehicles on Auto Trader?
I think there've been one or two, but I haven't seen them. I mean, obviously, I don't go into Auto Trader looking for garbage trucks every day, but
not yet.
Not yet. I'm going to go today.
Wait, this is going to make us rich, George. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, you don't need a compactor in order to collect 500 houses of rubbish. You need a couple of trips to the dump. So you probably need one of those, big, you need a largest truck. You don't need a Pantechnicon, I would imagine. So I think there are ways to cut the cost.
I'm all for it, George. We've got to look for ways to make money. People need their rubbish collected. We need to help them do it, and we can get paid handsomely for this. And you are the vehicle guy, so you could drive the truck. Simpi will run the office. Ben and I will hop on the back. We'll probably get Ryan to join us. I'm pretty sure we get a few more people.
I was brushing my teeth when you said that, and I almost choked on the toothpaste. Of Gareth and Ben on the back of the garbage truck.
You know the truck starts going before they get on, and then they run behind it and they jump on. Like, that looks like a lot of fun. And I know it's not, because it's a horrible fucking job, but it is something that made me laugh as well. And I visualized like Ben and I swinging like orangutans on the back of a garbage truck.
Basically like Baywatch. I mean, so similar.
We could have those overalls with the shiny bits on them.
Oh, yeah.
fun.
And we could have like really cool nicknames, like Cyril, Ferret, Squeaky.
Ferret. All right, George, what do you got for us today?
Why is my browser not working? There we go. Okay, so why on earth is this? Sorry, Gareth. I'm having technical issues.
Looking up garbage trucks all day on Auto Trader. That's the problem.
Yeah, that probably was because I would have gone on to Auto Trader to go and look for one thing on. The thing I did go onto Auto Trader this morning for is we having, besides the Black Friday 882 cars that I was talking about, we have a special, or should I say a competition, and the competition is you can download our app. And if you download our app, you can stand a chance to win 2,000 Rand.
Okay.
So there's a bit of a process involved. You have to download the app, take a screenshot of your new shiny app, post it on social media with the hashtag Black Fridays ready, and tag Auto Trader SA, and then you can stand a chance to win 2,000 Rand.
Who doesn't want 2,000 Rand? Go on, win. Let's go. Let's do this.
Exactly.
ASAP.
Exactly.
All right. Do you have trolleys, George? Have you got trolleys? Because Ben was asking earlier, what about trolley wheels for those guys that collect the garbage? I mean, do we have trolleys on Auto Trader, or is that technically?
I've never seen a trolley. I don't think they're roadworthy, and that's probably one of the reasons why. So we don't have any trolleys on Auto Trader. Not that I've seen. I'm going to go search and see.
Okay, well, we'll find out. This is a new thing to do. I think Ben's just been cut off. He did say he had to leave at 7:50, but there he is. He's gone. That's all right. I'll pick up the trash. I'll be the guy who grabs the trash this morning. Ben is not reliable. He's not reliable. If you needed him to collect your rubbish, he just wouldn't be there on time, and it would sit outside in the sun and get all steamy and maggoty and gross. So you can rely on me at least.
Well, I would worry about Ben, doing that hop onto the back of the truck, falling into the compactor and having to clamber his way out.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, that's hilarious. All right, what else we got?
Anyway, so there is a Nissan Juke. I don't know if you know what a Nissan Juke is, Gareth, but there is a Nissan Juke hidden in the 500 unit note of the currency of Cambodia.
Really? Where is it?
So if you look at that image, you can see that is a Nissan Juke.
Ah, okay. Is there a specific reason that the Cambodians would want to promote Nissan?
No idea, actually. So the thing is, every single country has different things, and I want to go and find out why this Nissan Juke is in their note. But different countries have different things on their notes, like the United States currency has those symbols on it. South Africa has the Big Five. Australia, I think, has their prime minister, or something to do with the royalty, but every country has something. We've got Nelson Mandela on ours, but a Nissan Juke, why choose that car?
Well, maybe they provide, I don't know, Cambodia maybe provides the windows or the bumper or the badge or something. There must be something that they do with it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have chosen that car specifically, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, they've got a mix of the Nissan Juke. They've got a bridge. They've got, if you look at it, it's Egyptian hieroglyphy in the background. I'm interested to go and find out why countries put.
That's not Egyptian. That's from Angkor Wat, which is the famous. Yeah. It's the famous old temple in Cambodia. So that's more of a kind of their own ancient heritage. But the Juke, definitely not their ancient heritage.
Yeah, I don't understand why that Duke is there, or Juke is there, should I say? But I'd like to find out more about why it's there.
All right.
And then you renew your car license now. I mean, we've been able to do it for a while without queuing. So if you go to the actual licensing department, you're going to have to queue, and whatever the case may be. So it is a horrible thing to do. So, but I wanted to highlight the cheapest place to renew your car license. and that is the post office.
Aha. Provided you can actually find one that works or that has electricity.
That is true. But if you go into major shopping centers, sometimes there is a post office in major shopping centers, and I've found that that's the easiest way to renew your license. I did mine there, and there's no additional fees if you go to the post office. Whereas if you go to the other queuing services, you pay from 200 Rand, sometimes 250 Rand for the service itself.
Right.
So
Also,
go to the
George,
post office.
I think you know what you've got to find out. You've got to find out if you have fines, because if you go there and you've got to suddenly pay like 2,000 Rand in fines and you're not prepared for it, that's a problem.
Yeah, you might not get your license. That could be.
There's no Black Friday discounts from the traffic department. They're not going to give you any of that.
No, I've very rarely got fines. In my driving time, but I did get one the other day, 800 Rand. I was doing 100 kilometers an hour onto an on-ramp, and I didn't realize that. I suppose I knew, but I didn't realize I was doing 100 on the on-ramp. So I was speeding up to 120 to get onto the highway, but the on-ramp is actually an 80 kilometer an hour zone. You only when you're on the highway itself can you do 120.
George, stop making excuses. You are a criminal and a lawbreaker because you don't follow the rules of the road.
Well, I didn't follow the rules of the road, and I got 800 Rand fine. And but the interesting part was, Pay City SMS'd me, and then gave me a call. One of those automated calls, and said to me, "I've got a fine." So if you go and you create an account in Pay City or a login in Pay City, you'll actually be notified if you've got fines.
Well, I think maybe they were also angling for a bribe. I mean, Pay City's never contacted me for anything. They must have seen that it was you, George, and gone, let's try and contact this guy. Maybe if we can get him to pay, us instead of actually pay the fine. Yeah, some people, there's some smart people out there, scams that are going on.
Yeah, I don't disagree that could have been the problem, but I don't know about Pay City. Maybe the traffic department.
Steve says Pay City works really well.
It does. And then finally, 8 obscure car facts that you probably didn't know. I thought I'd leave you with some lighthearted stuff after all the trash talk.
Let's go.
The first one is Ford planned a nuclear-powered car in the 1950s. You know, when Einstein and all those clever people split the atom? Yeah. Ford actually planned a nuclear-powered car, and then they ditched the idea.
Wow, imagine driving a car with nuclear power. That would make me feel very, very strong and invincible on the roads. Of course, it would also immediately raise the specter of all kinds of radiation leaks on every highway in South Africa every time anyone had an accident. Not a good idea.
And then another fact that you probably don't know, I didn't know this, the world's first speeding fine occurred in 1896, and a gentleman by the name of Walter Arnold, who was actually a car dealer in the UK, was fined for driving his Benz back in the day at the breakneck speed of 13 kilometers per hour beyond the 3.2 kilometer per hour speed limit.
They had a 3.2 kilometer per hour speed limit. That's walking is faster than that.
It was for horses. So there was a speed limit, and he got a fine of 1 shilling, which in today's money is 1 Rand.
Wow. Poor guy. I hope it didn't break the bank.
And then for those Formula One nuts out there, you know that Formula One cars have wings on the back and wings on the front that cause downforce to push the car down onto the ground. And then they also have an upside down wing under the floor that sucks the car onto the ground. Theoretically, it's never been tried, but theoretically, a Formula One car would be able to drive upside down in a tunnel at 190 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
Because of that.
I'd love to see them do that. There must be a tunnel where they can move the lights to the floor and they can actually test this out. I mean, that would be science worth experimenting on.
I agree.
I might even watch Formula One if they did it upside down.
Well, there we go. There's the FIA listen. Then we spend an average of 36 hours stuck in traffic every single year.
Oh. Only 36 hours. I think that's a
an
low
average.
number. I think that's a low number for people who are on the N1 highway between Pretoria and Joburg. I think that 36 hours a year would be a bonus for those people because
I think you're right.
I think it's an hour every day in the morning, an hour every day in the evening. And that's conservative because sometimes there's an accident. So that's already 2 hours a day, which means 10 hours a week.
I agree. I think there are some pockets like the Pretoria pocket that number is very low for. And then you might know this. Well, I think you do know this, Gareth, but some of the people might not know this, is that there's a Tesla floating in space.
Oh, yes, man. I remember they attached it to one of Elon's rockets. Yeah, and then they fired it up there, and now it's busy floating around like space junk.
Yep, it's floating around like space junk. And then second to last, the man who invented cruise control was actually blind.
Really?
Yep, the guy who invented cruise control was blind. And then very lastly, the highest mileage ever achieved on a car.
He wasn't the test driver, then I'm happy with that.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't the test driver. Maybe self-driving would have been a good feat for him.
Mm-hmm. And then
the highest mileage ever achieved on a car is 5.2 million kilometers.
What?
5.2
What is that?
I don't know. I'll look it up. It was a 36 hours and...
Jesus, that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. You can't just drop a clanger on us like that and then sip your tea.
It was 1966 Volvo 1800S.
Yo. Well, that speaks very highly of that Volvo, I'll tell you. You know, my grandfather used to say that it's not about how fast the car goes, it's about how many miles you can get on it. And that would have impressed him no end.
That was done in 1966.
Very impressive.
And in 2018 he had done more than 5.2 million kilometers in the car. So from 1966 to 2018.
It's a big deal. All right, George, that is excellent. What a high note to end things on. We will start our trash collecting business next week, which is going to be amazing. And Simpiwe will be taking your calls on like which neighborhoods we can come and service first. I mean, it's going to be phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
George is going to find us that the trash compactor truck and maybe even a honeysucker or two. We could even come and suck up the shit in your septic tank. I mean, who knows? We could be really helpful. There's lots that we're not afraid to get our hands dirty in this show. All right, everybody, have an excellent weekend. Be good, and we will see you on Monday morning at 6 a.m. Don't turn the world